What is going on, guys? It is Daniel Wright, and you are here listening to another episode of Paving the Way. Guys, happy Wednesday to you, or whatever day you're listening to it. But nonetheless, thank you again for joining us on this week's topic, talking about marketing do's and don'ts. I know oftentimes talk a lot about kind of leadership lessons or culture or things like that I've learned, but this one's a little bit more kind of tactical with a little bit of strategy involved in it, because I found myself talking a lot to individuals about marketing, media, digital media, social media, our print media for, expos and conferences that we go to, things like that. So it's been a big topic of conversation, probably because beginning of the year, a lot of folks are figuring out their marketing strategies, or it could be that we just have some badass marketing at our company and we have an awesome media person who handles all that, Randy. But nonetheless, I want to talk a little bit about some do's and don'ts that I've learned over the years that I want to pass along to you to hopefully help you along in your marketing journey. So with that being said, let's get started. All right, guys, welcome back. Like I was talking about, we're talking a little bit about marketing do's and don'ts today. I don't foresee this one being a super long episode because I'll get pretty much straight to the point about some things that I've learned over the years, right? So for me, my background, my history, I always had a little bit of a knack for the marketing side of business. Even from back when I was a little kid in elementary school, and got to do some marketing for the cookie company that we had as a class project and stuff. Or it was the lawn care company I started when I was in high school, and I was all about, what our logo was going to look like and make sure it looked right. And, when I was putting flyers out in the neighborhoods, putting them on hot pink paper to get people's attention. And then, making sure that when they called in, that I was ready to take the phone call and answered it professionally. So the marketing, right? The marketing side of a business is all about getting people in the funnel. And when you're getting people in the funnel, you want to make sure that you're not trying to just cast this massive net and catch anything and everything that you possibly can. Because if you're getting that, then you're going to make the job for the salespeople very miserable, because you're then weeding through any and every opportunity that comes through your door, and you start to become a jack of all trades and master of none. But if you make sure that your marketing is targeted and that you have an idea of the type of client you're wanting to go after, the type of products you're selling, services you're offering, and the ideal, market and target client, like I said, that you're wanting to service, then it makes getting that funnel a little bit more narrow and specific to the individuals you're trying to attract. But nonetheless, you have to first make sure that you know what your brand is. What do you stand for? What are you wanting the world to see and know and recognize you and your company as, right? So for us, I have always loved a clean, crisp appearance on any business that I have had. Whether it was our lawn care company back in high school, whether it was my lawn care company I had here in Charlotte when I was in my young 20s, or whether it was Proline parking lot maintenance when I took over the business and I liked the logo that it had, and anything that we built out onto it had to be clean, neat, crisp, and clear. But I want that appearance to also be followed into how we do everything else. So part of that brand image is not just what you see on the billboards or on the trucks or on the print media or whatever it might be. It's also how you do everything, right? So if you have that logo nice and neat and clear of what your brand is, then the actual actions that your company does, or the services that they sell, or the products that they provide, all have to line right up with that. So if your brand image is clean, it's neat, it's got that nice cut appearance, then you got to make sure that everything behind it follows it. So define that brand image that you want to make sure that you're conveying. And then make sure that the content or the material that you're putting out stays in line with that brand image, right? So if you're watching this, you probably follow along on our business pages, right? So our business social media or our YouTube channels, things like that. And you'll see that all of our content that we put out from a digital media standpoint is clean. It's neat. It's polished. There's not a lot of sloppy, video edits, or it's not shaky cameras or, blurry photos. Everything is neat because our brand, our image that we want to make sure that we're constantly portraying in everything that we do is clean, it's crisp, it's neat, and it's clear, right? Like I said at the beginning of this, a big kudos to that from the media side of it goes to Randy. So we could really probably end the podcast here and talk, and just say, if you want to get good at marketing, find a Randy, because makes your life a whole lot easier. Somebody who takes pride in what they do and does very well at it. But you can't have my Randy. So anyways, if you can't find a Randy, you just want to make sure that you're keeping that brand image clear. You're making sure to stay on track with it for everything that you're putting out. If you like to have a goofy brand, make sure everything you're putting out's goofy. If you like to have a professional brand, keep it professional. Whatever it is, keep it consistent, because people like consistency. They like to know what to expect. They like to know what they can be looking forward to when they see you show up on social media, when they see you show up at a trade show, or when they see you show up at their property to perform work for them. The next thing you want to keep in mind is one of two things. The content that you put out for your marketing should be either educational or entertaining, one or the other. Anything else outside of that is not going to retain an audience. Okay. So what does educational mean? Right? We're all smart people here because you're listening to this podcast. Educational means that you are trying to inform the individuals that you're trying to attract or that you're trying to target. You're trying to inform them about your services, that what their needs might be, how they can work together, what exactly you have to offer, why what you have to offer is important or beneficial to them, so on and so forth, right? One of the pieces that our company just put out was an email newsletter about basically, if you don't, do a service now, such as pothole repairs or crack sealing, and you delay it, you will end up paying more for it later. So if you delay now, you're going to pay more for it later. I tell that to clients all the time when I meet with them. They say, well, what happens if I don't do this right now? I say, well, you can either pay for it now or pay more for it later, right? So you can make marketing content to educate people on why it is that they should even consider your service or your product. And then what are the ramifications if they don't, or if they use someone else or whatever it might be. So you want to educate them on it. One of the things that I really like to do is educate our clients and our audience on who we are, right? If you ask Randy about it, one of the things I always say, I always drill down on, is make sure to show the people. Make sure to show who we are, what we do, what we look like, how we talk, how we act, everything like that. Because people do business with people, all right? They don't do business with logos. They don't do business with trucks. They don't do business with equipment. They don't do business with just a picture of asphalt that got painted. They do business with people. So we want to educate people on who we are, what we stand for, how we operate our business, how we communicate with each other, all the ins and outs of our organization. Okay. The other thing I mentioned was, if it's not going to be educational, make it entertaining. Okay. So if you've been following along our journey, you guys all know JJ. He's our operations manager. He's been with me for going on 5 years this year. And that man loves to keep the content that he helps Randy out with entertaining. He makes sure to get excited about it, get passionate about it. He definitely throws in the education piece of it, because he likes to teach other individuals what we're doing and why it matters, why it's important. But he keeps it entertaining. He keeps it lively. He keeps it out there, right? That's not exactly a gift that I've always had. I've been more on the educational side as opposed to the entertaining. But nonetheless, if you can keep it entertaining, you can keep people engaged, right? A lot of times in marketing, they say you've got about 10 seconds or so, maybe, to set the hook, is what they refer to it as in marketing. So the first 10 seconds of your video or of your post, whatever it might be that you're putting out, you've got 10 seconds to keep somebody engaged. And that's probably being generous. It's probably less than that nowadays. But nonetheless, okay, I'm getting told by the live audience here that it may be as little as 2 seconds to keep them engaged. So I'll stand corrected here on the podcast, but you got somewhere between 2 to 10 seconds to make sure that they're staying engaged on what you're putting out. But nonetheless, keep it entertaining, right? Make it funny. Make it, make it something that they're going to enjoy watching, or they're going to want to share with their friends or their coworkers or their peers. Because the more that you keep it entertaining, the more that you're going to have return audiences, Okay. The more that they're going to keep coming back for more, they're going to want to see what comes out next. They're going, like I said, they're going to share it with their friends, their coworkers, or even somebody who they might think could need your service or your product. Okay. So educational and entertainment, but make sure, like I said, it goes in line with the first thing I mentioned was keeping it on brand. You have to really, really make sure that you take care and, take the time and define what your brand is, what you want to stand for, how you want to look whenever people show up and see you for the first time. Because every time that you're putting something out could be the very first thing that someone sees about you or your company. And if you get off brand, then you risk giving the wrong impression or the wrong message for that first time viewer. All right. So on brand, educational, or entertaining. I got a bonus one for you though. For all you individuals who love to use your business pages to post pictures of your equipment, especially when you get your new equipment. All right. And I'm talking as someone who's done this time and time again, but more recently we have not. All the people who like to use their business pages and their business profiles as a platform to be proud about the new additions they make to their businesses, I highly advise against it. All right. And I'll be the real good friend and not the feel good friend here and say, nobody cares about the new truck you added to your fleet. Nobody cares about the new paver you bought. Nobody cares about the new skid steer. Nobody cares about the new lawnmower, the pressure washer, whatever it is you bought, especially your clients, right? Because if you don't make that post educational or entertaining, and it's just saying that you bought a new blank, fill in the blank for whatever your business is, if that's all it is, then they are going to assume that they paid for that, right? And they're going to sit and say, man, no wonder this guy charges me XYZ, or no wonder this girl charges me this much for it. She's just going out and buying new equipment, buying new trucks, yada, 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 right? So for all you business owners out there and you leaders, you understand that that's also like the cost of doing business. You have to buy more things to service more people and to provide more services and products. But when you use it in marketing, you need to put either an educational or an entertaining aspect behind it, okay? So an example of that could be if you buy a new truck, you can put an entertaining post behind it telling the story about how you always dreamed about having this type of truck for your business, okay? You could also make it educational, and you could inform and teach your audience about how buying this truck is allowing your company or your business to start doing XYZ services or to better serve XYZ clients, right? One of the things that we talked about recently in our company, we purchased a new striping trailer to carry all of our equipment to go paint parking lots. And that trailer showed up at our job or at our office the other week, and I was proud as hell of that. I said, man, this thing looks freaking great. It's beautiful. It's clean. It's nice. It's sturdy, so on and so forth, right? But then the thought just crossed my mind of what I just shared with you is that nobody really cares. Your clients, unless you're offering a new service, don't really care. Unless you're sharing an entertaining story that might tug at some heartstrings or cast the vision for your company or the future of where you're trying to go, nobody really cares about the new trailer. They just care if you can do the job for them. They just care if you can get it done. Okay. So that's my hot take on that. That's my hot button on the whole, businesses posting just random photos or videos of just got the new paver, just got the new blank, just got the new whatever. And unless it's something new you're offering to your business, put something behind it. Add some information to it. Add some context of why anyone should care about you getting that. Now, the positive side to that, because I just ranted on it for you. The positive side to that, if you want to brag about getting something new, I'm your guy. Okay. Send that shit to me in a message, or send it to me directly, text it to me, tell me about it, because I will be your biggest cheerleader, because I know the struggle that you're going through and the excitement that you feel when that new piece of equipment or that new vehicle or that new fill in the blank shows up, because it's a milestone for you. So share that with your buddies, share that with your peers, share that with your coworkers, share that with your team, because that's exciting and you should celebrate that. But there's a right time and a right place to do it. And on your business's social media page, I don't believe is one of them. Okay. So nonetheless, guys, to recap here, get your brand figured out. What do you want to stand for? What do you want to be known as? And what do you want people to think of you when they first see your name, your business, your logo, or anything like that out in the public? The next thing is make sure that when you're putting out content, whether it's digital, whether it's media, whether it's videos, photos, brochures, emails, whatever it may be, it falls under one or two categories of being educational or entertaining, because you want to make sure you're keeping people engaged and they feel that they had a reason for partaking in whatever it is, the content that they consume by you. And then last, don't use your business pages to show off your new stuff. You can send that stuff to me. I'll be excited for you. Nonetheless, guys, I hope this was beneficial to you. Hope it was beneficial to somebody you know. If it is, please share it. As always, I always like the comments. They seem to be rolling in a little bit more lately. So either you guys are bored and you're spending more time on social media, or I'm actually producing some good content. Either way, I appreciate the support. We'll see you guys next week.